Hey everyone, welcome to North of the Border podcast. Last week we okay, I'm gonna pass
North of the border? What? Hey, welcome to North of the Castle podcast. I'm Ruben.
I'm Dora.
and I'm Ambrose.
And this is the place where we talk about all things Disney, Universal, and fun, adventure, travel, food. And I'm so excited for today's topic because we're talking about villains. Who are the best ones? Who are the worst ones? Who are the ones we love? Who are the ones we can't stand and hate when they come on our favorite Disney movies, especially with all things that are going on in Disney right now when it comes to villains. And so I'm super excited. Are you guys excited for all the things happening with Disney and villains?
I mean, honestly, I'm not a big villains person.
Set up the podcast perfectly. That's awesome.
I think it'll be really good. I think that I'm somebody that will actually, like, this will be an enlightening thing for me. Like, I will be like, oh, I actually didn't know all these backstories and I really loved all these different new things. But it's not something that I'm like super looking forward to, but there is a lot coming to the parks for Disney villains. So it is kind of cool. It is definitely a pertinent topic. Ambrose, I know you love Disney villains.
I do. I greatly love them. I think they're like the people we love to like hate. We love to hate, and I don't know. But like basically,
And we hate to love.
It's just something every time, like especially at parks, whenever you see them, you're like, oh, that's a villain, and they walk by, and the interactions are very like, and it's very non-typical Disney. You know, Disney's supposed to be the happiest place on earth, but then it's so Disney that they're still in character. You know, you walk by, and then I've had times where I was at the park, and they're literally the evil queen goes, ew. Little humans, you know, like to the kids, right? And then and especially in movies, because movies, I love movies, you guys love movies. I think majority of people love movies, and nothing is better in movies than a great villain. Okay, so today I've already kind of decided we're gonna be talking about villains, and we're gonna have a little criteria to the villains. Okay, are you guys ready for that?
Bet, let's do it.
Firstly, is what do you personally Number one is, what do you personally love about this villain? What makes them so great? Okay. And then the second thing is, in the movies that they're in, what makes them good in the movie? Okay. Okay. Another thing would be, another good thing would be, so I'm just looking at my list right now. It would be that, would they be able to carry their own movie?
Okay.
Would you watch their own movie? Okay.
Interesting.
And one more is that, how are they represented in? I can say the word now. They're represented in the park, and how would you like to see them more in the park? Okay, especially in their own little because Villains Land is coming. How would you love to see them in Villains Land?
Yeah.
Cool. What was the first one? What was the first one?
Why do you love them?
Why?
Yeah, you personally, why you love them, and the next one is why they're so good in the movie, and why does everyone love them?
Yeah, these are good. Yeah, should we just hop in?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'll go first. I'll be honest. I don't love any of them. I'm be real.
Okay.
I there's a reason why they're villains, in my opinion. They do such a good job of making sure you hate. If a villain, in my opinion, if a villain is successful, you hate them. And that's why it's like when you see some of the best villains, even like just going outside of Disney for a second, when you see some of the best villains, it's like whenever those same actors do another role in another movie, you can't stand them because they have embodied their role so well that they have convinced you must hate them. So, I mean, one of the examples of that is, for example, Marvel. So staying with Disney, right? Thanos. You know, like imagine, like now there was a lot of CGI, so you're not really seeing his face too much, but he is still who he is. Like, what's his name? What's the actor's name? I can't remember.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, thank you. So you know, it's still Josh Brolin, you know, underneath there, but like it's CGI'd, so it's not exactly the same. But man, how much did you hate Thanos when he snapped his finger? You know what I mean? So for me, I don't really love any of them, but I guess if I were to kind of go off of it, the reason why I thought these were great, like the first one, at least for me, Scar from Lion King. I mean, you know, I think our generation specifically, we grew up with Lion King based on when, you know, it released.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think Scar was great was because how vicious he was. Now, I know that, like, I believe there's actually a backstory to Scar, a movie coming out or already
No,
out.
there was Mufasa, but I guess it probably has like the Scar's.
So I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it, so I don't know. But I heard that there is some backstory, and so like I guess there's a level of like you're empathizing with why Scar does what he does in Lion King. So I thought he was great because of what he did, the role that he played, and actually like getting rid of, you know, Mufasa, and man, like poor Simba, you know, daddy issues, all of the problems, you know, that then he has to overcome, and it creates for an amazing story, an iconic story, you know, in my opinion, one of the biggest ones that really put Disney where Disney is today, especially in our generation. But could Scar carry his own movie? I think so. In our culture today, I think so. Would I watch it? No, because I'm not a villain fan.
But I think like, I mean, you skipped over one of the questions, which was like, what makes him so great in the movie? And I think part of it, and that would also carry into why he could carry his own movie, is like he is a character. Like Mufasa is very like solemn and serious, but Scar is like silly and he's devious. Like he's devious, cunning. And you laugh at him and you're just like, oh, like he's, you know, like he's kind of dumb at times too, and you're like, oh, like what are you doing? And then of course his song is so catchy. Like Be Prepared is one of the catchiest songs in the entire movie. Which again, not being a Villains fan, did you guys ever notice that Villain songs are usually really good?
Yeah. Villains sometimes get the best songs. Right?
Yeah, because it's easy to hate.
Like Poor Unfortunate Souls, and like not same villain obviously, but Poor Unfortunate Souls in The Little Mermaid.
How does that song go?
Like those poor unfortunate souls.
Oh yes,
like that's a good one. That's such a good song.
Wow. Yeah.
Even as a kid, I loved that song, even though like I was kind of scared of Ursula. But like the villain songs are so good. Yeah,
it's true. I mean, I said that the reason what makes him so great is what he ended up doing was killing off Mufasa. But you're right. His nature, the character that they also portray in him is what makes him like, you know, multi-tiered. And I think that Mufasa only shows more of that. And maybe you never know, Scar might get his own movie someday. Is he represented in the parks? I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, he kind of is in the Festival of the Lion King. Like in the Festival of the Lion King, he does have his own number. They do Be Prepared. It's got like a lot of Festival of the Lion King is an interesting show because it's not a classic like retelling of the movie. It's like they do the musical numbers, and then they do a lot of like the like it's almost circus vibe. Like there's like trapeze
almost
artists,
like Greatest Showman, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, it's like there's trapeze artists and there's jugglers and there's like all these different things happening. So they do Be Prepared in the Festival of the Lion King, and it again super catchy. It was one of the best numbers in the song in the show.
Hot take, one of the best shows in all of Walt Disney World, Florida.
Yeah, it was really good.
But yeah, Scar's mine, first one.
I think it might be kind of hard for them to do it within the park because you're talking about this like fully like giant lion, right? How do you unless the
I mean, they could almost every character
can be. That's true. The characters walking in 2 legs. I guess they can do that.
Yeah. No, but they could do like an animatronic, right? Like they have a Simba animatronic that comes out in the Festival of the Lion King show. Now, like you could do an animatronic of Scar, but you could also do like, it doesn't have to be him. It could be like, you know, the Outlands, and you could have like an area that is just like all the Outlands, like the Elephant Graveyard. And like that could be the Scar-esque to it. And you could have like bones everywhere. So they have similar to like the Boneyard, you know, playground that they have at Dinoland USA. Like they could have like a boneyard type thing, and like the kids can play in there, and there could be it could just be like darker, and it could be more like,
I mean, who doesn't
Lion
like
King
their
themed.
kids playing in elephant, bones and stuff, right?
I mean, they play in like a shark area in the Finding Nemo
That's true. That's true.
area.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's at Epcot. So there's definitely things that I think like the kids would really enjoy, but beyond kids, like as adults, like if you're somebody who really loves Lion King, like that Outlands area would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think something I want to add on to like the whole look of Scar. I think Scar's look is very iconic.
Yeah.
Like he's like if you look at him compared to all the other lions, he's a different color.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, his mane is different.
Mm-hmm.
He's got this iconic scar, of course, which I
Yeah.
think they explain in like Mufasa.
I think so.
I'm not
yeah.
sure,
No.
but like he just looks different. And then I think he was also it's just the look, and it's so like you said, it just plays off the whole menacing look, but he can also be like very like, oh sorry Mufasa, like very like almost like you said, a little stupid looking. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like I think just the look. I think one of the big things for villains is iconic look. I think that's a huge thing as well.
That's true. And Scar has like there might be more to like his backstory, but he has this iconic classic storyline of he's the brother who doesn't become king, right? And because of that, he's jealous of his like kingly brother and he tries to kill him. Like I feel like that story plays out in so many movies and so many like novels and things where it's like if there's a royal family and there is an uncle or a king's brother, they likely
Something
are
is gonna
evil.
go
Like
down.
they're likely after the throne and they're like, I want the crown and I'm gonna try to kill whoever, right? So I feel like it is a predictable storyline, but the fact that they made it with lions is very unique and very cool because it brings life to like the animal world, and it's not just within humans that this like rivalry happens.
That's cool. What's yours, Ambrose?
All right, I'm gonna go. I have a couple, but I'm gonna firstly go away from like old school Disney, I guess, to more like Pixar. Okay, Pixar Disney. Okay, my first one is going to be one of my all-time favorite. What's it called? Villains. Okay.
Okay.
It's going to be Lotso from Toy Story 3,
Okay.
the last of the true Toy Story movies. Okay. I'm teasing.
Only the first 3 are canon. Everything else.
4 is
No,
not,
number
and
4 is
5 that's
alright.
coming doesn't even exist.
In my opinion, okay. But I think
Who's
Lotso's
Lotso,
such
though?
an
I don't
iconic
actually know who that
character.
is.
He's
Lotso's
sorry?
the pink bear.
the lots of hug me bear or something. I forgot the exact name of his. So I think what's so really great about this character is because he's so iconic. It's the idea that he is this, and it's such an amazing character too because he is this pink, really huggable, lovable teddy bear that smells like strawberries. Okay, but that he's one of the most like cruel and like intense like characters ever put on like animated villains, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like his whole spiel is basically he was abandoned, therefore it messed him up, and he thinks that every single toy and every single human like basically we're just gonna abandon toys, and then all toys are basically kind of like in the end trash in the end, kind of that we're all meant to be thrown out at the end. Humans will ditch us and everything. So what's really great is that firstly amazing, I think I forgot the name of the actor. I had it, we'll get back to that, but just voice amazingly, and it's just like I love the contrast between the two, right? So I think firstly he is so marketable. Lotso is everywhere. Okay,
Really?
Every Disney store, Lotso's there, especially every Asian Disney store, Lotso's there as well.
I need to Google this. What does Lotso look like?
It's the pink bear.
Okay.
Oh.
And the actor is Ned Beatty.
Who
There
that?
it is. There it is.
I don't know who no Ned Beatty is, but you do a good job. Thanks, Ned.
Yeah. So it's just like it's such an iconic, and he's so like just the way that he's a villain. I think one of the things I love about Lotso is that he's so unapologetically evil. I think that's what makes an amazing Disney villain is that they're just evil, and evil, and all have like amazing backstories.
Yeah.
Right. And I think nowadays, like some like in lesser movies, when you have like a villain that's kind of like in the gray area, as more of an anti-hero and like less of like a actual villain, because I mean, one villain. I'm gonna take a little tangent, but we're gonna come back. Like
Okay.
one amazing villain. I think it was from the Game of Thrones series. I haven't really watched much of that, but I know that there was a character called Joffrey, right? He was a like little evil king, and he did such an amazing job in the villain that the actor was getting death threats outside of the
Wow.
acting.
Are you
Yeah, and
serious?
everyone hated him beyond life. And after doing that role, he like quit acting
Yo.
because it was like, and it's like such an icon. Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's what makes a great villain. Okay.
Mm.
So going back to Lotso, he's evil and he has this a great backstory. And it's like, I don't know if you guys know Jesse's backstory in Toy Story, how like Jesse was like basically abandoned and like
Oh yeah, Jesse, yeah.
yeah, and then she was like sad, but then where it's almost the same thing, right? But then Lotso gets abandoned. He works really hard to get back to his home, but then he finds out that the parents, seeing the daughter had cried, basically replaced them.
Wow.
They bought another Lotso, right?
Wow.
So then, therefore, and then it's like, what's crazy is that he sets up this whole like in the daycare, sets up this whole like amazing, horrible system, right? Where new toys come in. It's almost like I don't say like people. I saw a lot of conspiracies online. It's like they created like different like political ways of ruling, right? But basically, new toys come in, have to suffer in order to later go into a better room. They go into the famous caterpillar room, right? So you have this whole system where Lotso controls everything.
Yeah.
Right, and everyone is like he rules by fear, right? And he's great. He's like insane manipulator and everything. So I think it's just a really iconic character because like everything goes according to his plan.
I must have never watched Toy Story 3 because I don't remember this. I don't know who Lotso is. This pink teddy bear. Low-key, I saw him like, isn't that the good guy? Isn't that the guy who helps Woody?
No, he plays off like he's good. That's why. But like,
Yeah, which is that's why he's so.
Does he walk with a
character.
cane? Is this guy? This guy? Okay, yeah. No, I must not. I think I guess we have a movie to watch. Toy Story 3.
we've watched it with the kids, but that's okay.
Damn.
I know. I think if not the best twist villain that Disney has done. So at the very end, you get the like twist, right? Because they do a lot of those. I think that's such a. So I think why people love him because he's very cute. It's a teddy bear. It smells like strawberries. All the plushies in the park and everything do smell like strawberries.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
And then he looks. I think it's just a really cute teddy bear.
Yeah.
I think it's because he's also another thing that people love it because he's very marketable. That's a really big one. He's also such a great villain and amazingly written and like even to the point where like even the ending like he doesn't get like there's no like redemption arc for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
So I think
that's going to be another movie. Lotso. There you go.
I don't think, but personally, I don't think that he could carry his own. Well, it might be too intense because the way he's designed in the character is that he has to lose, okay, or else everyone would be like, "Bro, this is so like unfair. This guy can like, right?"
Yeah.
So I think he couldn't carry his own movie.
Okay.
The parks, I haven't seen Lotso in the parks. Have you guys ever seen Lotso in the parks?
I mean, just merch. Just merch. But like, I think he's an easy add-on. Like, there's so much Toy Story stuff. I think he's an easy add-on.
Yeah.
But it's like old Toy Story. Like everything that I've seen of Toy Story is like focused on like OG Toy Story, not the newer stuff. Like where's Forky?
No, like, oh, that's true. Also merch.
Merch. Other than merch, like Jesse was big, Buzz was big. We saw Buzz a lot. Woody, there's lots of character meet and greets for Woody.
There's
for
Bo
sure.
Peep as well.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's so easy. Like, they can make one of the things, like one of the scenes in Toy Story Mania when you're like throwing things, they can make it so that you're like throwing pies at Lotso or something. Like, you could incorporate Lotso.
Cool.
You could do a show with, like, I think that's missing. Like, they don't have a Toy Story show, but if they did, like, you could easily incorporate Lotso. Like, Lotso would be the best villain of all of the Toy Story like villains, I guess, because it's just like him and Stinky Pete. There's not really like, it's Stinky Pete, right? That's his name.
Stinky Pete.
Yeah, there's not really like other villains in Toy Story.
I like Stinky Pete actually.
So I just searched it up. I think right now, there are really no meet and greets opportunities actually for him. He's much of a more rare character.
Yeah.
And that you might see him at Pixar up here in California, but not much. And then in Hollywood studios, there used to be one when Toy Story 3 came out, but not anymore. So
Yeah.
I think you can only really see him at what's it called? Those like Not So Scary Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That
And
makes
it's called
sense.
Lotso Huggin' Bear. That's what it is. Okay, that's the full name.
Yeah.
There it is.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, like there are very few villains who can carry their own movie unless it's a prequel where it's like, how did they get this way, right? Like, I think those movies, like he absolutely could have a prequel, but like, could he have like a movie where he's like reformed and he wins and whatever, like he finds happiness in the home of another child? Like, I mean, he could, but like it would be one of those movies, like you said, where it's like, oh, like he destroyed the lives of so many other toys. Why would he get his like win?
Yeah.
Not everyone's supposed to get their happy ending, right? Oh no, I was gonna just say like I hope like in this if he's at what's the name if he's at Villains Land, I hope that it's the daycare.
Oh,
That's
As messed up as that is,
like
but,
they
if you
build
go
the
there
whole
and then
daycare.
the caterpillar worm, and then like he's like there, and then
That's freaky.
That
I
would
love how
be,
you guys are like daycare, you know.
that would be like I don't know. I feel like the best fit would be like maybe like a toy shop or like or even like a quick service dining location, like theme it like the daycare. It's very creepy though. That's what I feel about like the whole, like that's how I feel about all of Villains Land. Like, you know, when you're describing like the anti-heroes and you're just like, yeah, like they're not really villains, they're just like kind of in the gray. It's like, those are the villains I like. I like movies where like the villain is not really a villain, or it's like
It's just misunderstood.
yeah,
Redemption arc, you know.
yeah. So like for example, I'm not gonna go super deep into this one, but like in Inside Out 2, anxiety.
Oh, that's a good one.
Anxiety is technically the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
Like she's messing everything up.
Yeah.
But then like her intentions are good.
Yeah.
Her intentions are not bad. And then she
Honestly,
eventually gets to a place where she's like, I can't do this. And so they like save the day, and then she learns her place and she kind of adjusts. And so anxiety is like the whole time you're watching the movie, you want to punch her in the face. And it's like, I feel the same way about my own anxiety. I'm just like, stop, why are you here? But at the same time, like she's not actually like a bad villain. Like her intentions are good. I remember watching the movie with our kids, and like, I think it was the first time Arabella had ever like heard the term anxiety. And so she's like, what is anxiety? What
Can I have it
emotion?
too?
No. She's like, what emotion is that? And so I explained to her, and I'm like, it's not really like bad. Like anxiety is there for a reason. It gives you an understanding of like when there's something that you need to worry about, maybe plan for. And it's like, it can be very bad, but it's not always a bad thing. That feeling of worry and anxiety that you get is not always a bad thing. So they created that villain really well, where it is very gray. And so those are the ones that I like.
And hey, they're great villains. That's a great villain.
Okay. One of mine. My favorite villain of all time. And again, because they're not like the super evil villain, Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove.
Ooh, nice one.
I think she's absolutely...
He's a llama. He's supposed to be dead.
Yes.
I think she's absolutely hilarious. I think, and technically, like, let's not forget, Kronk is actually technically a villain too. He's a henchman, right? So like, it's like when you think about it, they're the worst villains. They're the best, but they're the worst because they're
also, like,
so
really lovable
ridiculous.
together and
They're the
everything.
ones I want to watch all the time.
They're so funny the way that they like, oh yeah, like we'll take a break from our villainy to like have a meal and like do whatever and be silly and like and even like her reasoning behind wanting to kill Cusco is like, well, Cusco fired her. So like She
I
was
think she raised him pretty much, right?
yeah. So she like Cusco fired her and she was like, I've been your advisor for however long. Like, how could you fire me? And so she's like this like disgruntled ex-employee and she's like out to get him. And the whole story just plays out so comedically and where you're like, you're not terrified of Yzma and Kronk the whole time. You're just very interested in like every time they're on the screen, you're laughing and you're like, this is so enjoyable and so good. And Cusco's almost the villain of the movie. Like he starts off and he's so annoying and so intolerable and you just can't stand him. And then like eventually he reforms and eventually like, you know, you get the happy ending, but like I love Yzma for all of those reasons. I love how like weird she looks. Like she's got a very unique, very distinct look, like her like weird long eyelashes that almost look like cat whiskers. Like just she's so good. She's so good. And I know I talked about it briefly in like a previous conversation, but like easy way to incorporate her into the parks. Take over Typhoon Lagoon and make it Cuscotopia.
Yes.
Put in
greatest idea you've suggested.
Put in like that drop. Put in like there's so much you can do. You can play it up so much with the sets and just make it really look like Cuscotopia and create like his palace and create like the iconic, you know, model that he had that he showed the first time around. So like I think there's so many ways to like incorporate her in that aspect. I don't know if she can be incorporated really in Villains Land or if she would fit or if they would care because she's not the biggest, like most popular known villain. But
that's one I would want to go meet if she was there.
100%. Her and Kronk.
Oh man.
100%. I think they could carry their own movie. I think the two of them would be such a funny, hilarious movie. And like focusing in on Yzma, I think she'd be hilarious. But there's I don't think there's so much need or desire for her in the parks. I think she would be really fun. Like she could have a really fun like cameo in the Disney Villains show, the one that's coming to Hollywood Studios. She probably wouldn't have like a big part, but she could have a great cameo. I would love to see her in there.
Think about when they're in her lair, right? Think about that as a ride. We are trying to get, we have to go to our lab to get the secret potion to get Cusco back. You sit in, you're getting dressed up, you're going through this whole ride, you get turned into different, you know, animals because you're drinking these potions. Like, bro. Yeah. I mean, maybe this is just our childhood and so we're, you know, going crazy about it, but anyhow.
Yeah, I don't think everybody, like kids these days probably don't know it as well. And like, I don't think it's in as high demand as some of these other movies, like for like the, you know, for example, the ones that you guys have shared. But I think she's just a spectacular villain.
That's awesome. Second.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Amherst, you hit it up.
Sure. Man, I feel like some of my villains are too dark and scary.
Well, welcome to the dark side.
All right. I guess the next one I can do is Hades from Hercules.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty dark.
A little dark, but you know what I mean, God of the Dead, right?
Yeah.
But I think that like the character himself it's pretty funny though. Like he's really sarcastic. He's like there's a lot of jokes and stuff, and like it's very even like almost fourth wall breaks at time. Like you know he's very aware,
really?
Right?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like he'll like look at the camera and talk.
Huh.
Or like do little talks and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
Right. I think it's just a great villain. I think his colors are really iconic too. Like the blue and then like red when he's angry.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's he's also really powerful. I think and he's not like evil beyond life. Besides like, hey, I want to well, he's pretty evil. He wants to overthrow his brother to be the new god of Olympus, right? But I think he's such a great character because it contrasts. I'll be honest, like a lot of the gods in Hercules, besides like Zeus, are kind of boring. Okay. But then you have Hades, who's just like a guy who makes a lot of jokes. He like offers a lot of like advice, you know, and everything. But it's like he's someone that you like. How do you say? You will love versus
Mhm.
just hate. It's like
Yeah.
both, right? So he's a good contrast, right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I think he ends up being the most interesting character at the end of the movie. Because Hercules, after Hercules gets the god powers back, he's boring, okay? Because he's just like, right, and then so I think he's a great character. Is he seen in the parks? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's been two versions of him, right? One of them it's like the big giant costume Hades, and there's the
Okay.
other one that was at the not so scary Halloween party where he actually talked, and when he's like interact with guests, when he gets angry, everything turns red, even his costume turns red. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
Is he gonna have a place in Villains Land? 100%. I think he's just like one of the iconic heroes. Not heroes, so villains, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like a character, even though, and he's got like a very distinct look too. You know, all the skulls and everything, and it's not like skeleton skulls. I think there's a distinct. I forgot exactly what it looked like, but the way that the skeletons are made in Hercules,
Yeah.
it's got,
I think he has like because he rules the underworld, right? That's a very, I feel like almost like a neutral place that they could create in Villains Land where like other villains could be roaming and it wouldn't be unusual because like if they died, maybe they went to the underworld. So
that's true. That's
like it would make sense. So I feel like Hades is definitely going to be represented in some way, and they are bringing more Hercules representation. I feel like it was like a forgotten movie that they all of a sudden they're like, why haven't we done anything with this? So I feel like they are going to be bringing him to the parks in some way,
especially with the live action remake that's coming out.
Yeah.
So you didn't know there's a live action Hercules remake.
That's cool.
I'm scared about that, but I'm also excited because Hercules is one of my favorites. So we'll see. We'll see. As long as it's a musical, we're good. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I think it's one that I really enjoy. Could Hades have his own movie? For sure. For sure. I think a lot of these characters, like especially the older villains, I think a lot of them were included in like TV series. I think there was a Hercules TV series. There was a Kronk's TV series as well.
I saw that one.
A lot of them have their own like TV series, I think. So Hercules, great character, sarcastic, funny. It's actually not that powerful, but like has a holdover stuff. And then it's one of the things is that he signs contracts as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Great movie,
Cool.
great character.
So-
I'm gonna pass it to Ruben. It's your turn. Let's hear it.
My turn. Oh man. I don't know much about villains. You know what? I'll tell you what. I wrote some down. There's one that I'll share because it's probably the first villain I think of when I think of Disney. So I grew up watching like the movie Cinderella, and so Lady Tremaine.
Okay.
Okay. So
One
evil
of the
stepmother.
forgotten
I didn't
ones,
even
but
know
yeah.
her name, but I had to go search it up. It's the stepmother.
Yeah.
And that's just purely because of how Cinderella was treated, how like rude, harsh, vicious, forgivable, and rude, hard, vicious. I already said it. Like legit, she was just so mean. And she was one of the first ones I remember going, wow, like you are the worst. like I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, if I were ever put in that position, I would show so much love. Like, how could you treat another human being like this, And it got me angry. They created the villain well to be able to do that. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as a mom, definitely I'm like, oh my gosh, how could you treat essentially your child? Because it is your child. Like you should be your child like that. I remember like the first time I ever watched that movie, I was really young and I didn't know what like a stepmom was. And I was like, what is her, like, what is a stepmother? Like, is it her mother? And asking my parents, and my parents explained to me that like when a dad would remarry, then that would be the stepmother. And then later on meeting a friend who had a stepmother and said like my stepmother. And I was like, oh my gosh, does she have an evil, is this like poor Cinderella? Like I felt so awful for my friend. And my mom was like, no, not all stepmothers are bad. And that was just in the movie. She's like, that's why she's the evil stepmother, not just the step. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh boy.
But I remember being like horrified by that thought. But the idea of like the villain being in your home and like having to interact with them on a daily basis and like they control your life, that is intense. And it makes sense. And it's very realistic. It's a reality that a lot of people face. It's like a lot of people do have like really horrible family relationships and really horrible parents and really horrible like step parents or whatever it is. And so they're living in these like very toxic like environments. And so they played on that to an extreme and like built a really realistic and believable villain. One that you're not scared to see. You look at her and she kind of looks boring and she looks bored. And almost every scene she's like, and you're like, oh, like her eyes are glazed over and she just looks bored. But then like I remember in one scene where like I think when she realizes that it's like Cinderella that is like the one that the prince is looking for.
The look she does walking up and that was terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. Like her eyes like laser focus, and I think like the room goes dark and like her eyes are just like almost like green and piercing, and then you're like, oh, like you know, bad guy activated.
I think like, and those are all really good thoughts. I think that she could actually carry her own movie. You know, think about it this way. You're seeing in the movie's titled, you know, Stepmother, or like, you know, or the movie's titled Tremaine, and you're basically seeing her as a child being rejected, only being accepted for, you know, the things that she can have, being, you know, being treated poorly by her own stepmother, maybe, you know, and then another point of view. We saw everything through the point of view of Cinderella. Imagine seeing the things through her point of view. What was her relationship like with her now husband? And what pressures was she facing during that time, during that season? You know, trying to basically rise up in honor and value during a culture that didn't value women. Imagine that whole take of like, I just want my children to go ahead, and then imagine it's a retake. It's you know, she out of fear was responding to Cinderella in this way rather than really just trying to be controlling. Now the fear led to control, but you see the fear side of that rather than just like a rude, mean person. I think that they could do a movie on that if they live action, even cast a good, you know, actress rather. I think, yeah.
Get her when she's young and beautiful, and like he falls in love with her, but she's already got 2 kids. But then he's like, you know, he favors his daughter, and he's the only one who's making money, and she has no money. And then he dies, and she's like, oh my god,
survival.
Yeah.
She tries to be a good like mother, and something happens and like changes. Oh, that's pretty good, dude.
I don't know. So anyhow, representing the part? Nope. I don't think she's representing the park at all.
No, I don't think so either.
Probably just a villain days, I think, a lot of times.
Obviously there's the stepsisters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which are connected. And the stepsisters are like, they are all around Cinderella Castle at Magic Kingdom. And they'll like watch the parade, and they'll watch the castle shows, and they actually like comment on it. We met the stepsisters when we were at Magic Kingdom, and it was actually such a fun interaction. They were like you know, smirking and like, oh, like whatever, our sister, and like talking about her badly behind her back. And they were like asking us about like certain things, and they're like, oh yeah, that doesn't look good. And like just giving us a bit of a hard time. And it was a fun interaction. They weren't like, we had our kids with us, so I think they were a little bit more mindful of like not being overly mean, but they were definitely like snarky. And so it was fun.
Yeah, I just searched it up. I think it's the only real big thing you see. It's probably the villain days, or like at a parade. This is probably when you'll see her.
I don't remember. Is she in Phantasmic? Because actually a lot of villains are included in Phantasmic. So
I don't remember her being in Phantasmic.
Like, I'm pretty sure Scar is in Phantasmic.
Scar is.
Yeah, so a lot of villains are included in Phantasmic. So she might be, but maybe not. They do focus on like some of the magical villains.
That's true.
Okay. Villain I love. Villain I absolutely love. Because it's not I know. Because is he actually a villain? He might be an anti-hero.
Take it away. Let's hear it.
Loki.
You went the Marvel route?
Oh, I didn't know
Loki
that-
is the best villain.
I didn't know we were allowed to do the Marvel route. That changes everything.
We'll allow it. We'll allow it.
I mean, he's
The council has spoken.
so he is at Disney California Adventure.
Yeah.
There is like Loki, like not, I don't know if it's like official meet and greets, but he's there. He's walking around. People can talk to him. People can meet him. I
a
think
lot
he's
of great interactions. I've seen videos. Phenomenal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Loki is hilarious. I love Tom Hiddleston. I love his like rendition of Loki. But he's so funny. He's so devious. It's like you love him, but you hate him. Like he has moments. He has his moments where he's the good guy, and then he has his moments where he's the bad guy. And he can so easily flip-flop between the two that it just catches you off guard. I like Loki's definitely up there for me. And he is one of the reasons that I actually started to really enjoy Marvel movies. Like, because the first Avengers movie was focused on like Loki because he stole the Tesseract.
Yeah.
And then like that was the first Avengers movie, and I thought it was so engaging, and I was like absolutely hooked. And so I started watching the rest of like the Marvel movies, really focusing in on them. So I really love Loki. I think he already has some representation in the parks. He obviously can carry his own everything because he's already doing his own show, and his show is clearly doing well. And like, yeah, so I think Loki is somebody who could have his own movie, have his own storyline, have his own like whatever. But at the same time, it would be really cool to see more of Loki, because right now we don't have a lot of him. Like he's just kind of a character meet and greet. Having something with him like shape shifting, like a show of some sort would be cool. Obviously, like he's not at Walt Disney World at all because Walt Disney World doesn't have like a lot of the Marvel characters. So it would be really cool to have some of that. But yeah.
That's not fair. I didn't know we were doing the Marvel route.
Well,
We need another podcast day just to do the Marvel route. That's not fair. I
That's
can
a
come up with
snippet for
so
the
many.
Next episode, another episode.
Bro, that's a good one though. Loki is is awesome. Yeah. What's your third one, Ambrose?
We're gonna go darker again, I guess.
okay.
I think another one that I really think is a great character is actually let's just go deeper. Hopper from Bug's Life. Okay. Once again, really dark, really evil.
Which one? Hopper?
He's the grasshopper.
Oh,
grasshopper. The evil grasshopper.
yeah,
from,
that's a good one. Yeah.
'cause I think, I think the Hopper, how it's so good because he's a very realistic villain. I love how I said realistic when he's a giant grasshopper.
Yeah.
But I mean to say
Great
like
use of words.
I mean, grasshoppers are real, so
And I'm
true,
sure
that's
they're
true.
villains to somebody.
You're right. No, I just think that like the way he is, it's like how it's almost like real day villain. How like he's so cunning, how he uses like fear, and the fact that he uses that fear to control not only the ants but also his own grasshoppers, right?
Yeah.
And that he's like this smart guy, but he's like only able to control people more stupid than he is, right? Because if you look at the
Right.
movie, right, all the grasshoppers are not the brightest bugs in the forest. Okay,
Yeah.
they're all really dumb. Okay,
Yeah.
but he's able to control them, right? And it's like, so it's very realistic, but it's like, how do you say, his power only comes from fear. Whenever like the all the ants and everybody stand up, they're like, whoa, and then he uses like, I think the other guy's name is Stomper, the crazy grasshopper, the one that's like,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I think it's such a great villain. It's just the look is great, the way the voice acting is phenomenal. I think that this is an overall really good villain. You will be scared of him, but you're also like, and it's just the idea that what's it called? You have the very end where like his downfall is not believing in the things that he is smaller than him, right?
yeah.
Because he like falls for the trick and he's like, oh, is this another one of your girls? Hello, girls. And there's a real bird eats him, right? Spoilers for anyone. I don't even know when this movie came out.
Like 1980 something. Maybe 1990.
Probably 90s, yeah.
When did
Because it's an
Bugs Life-
animation, right? So it would have been like 90s.
1998.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think it's just a great villain. I think it's just
Cool.
really well done. There's so many layers to who he is,
Yeah.
how he controls the bugs, how he controls everything, and
Yeah. Okay.
almost kind of like lots to some degree.
Okay. There's a theme
Maybe
there.
maybe those are the type of villains that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I think like the way Disney also like animated him, they're so clever about it, because like when you see ants are just these black little dots essentially, right, in real life, but then they make them like blue and colorful in the movie.
They make their cheeks specifically wider so that way when they smile, it's more inviting.
Yeah, but not only that, they almost
True,
make
you don't
them
have the
like
pincers.
they look like they have this like smooth like exterior. It's very like they look pleasant, whereas like he's all like rough and like he's gray and brown and dark and like
flaky and stuff, right?
Tough.
Yeah.
He's got these like shoulders, like he's walking around like this.
Yeah. So the way he the way he looks, definitely is intimidating, right?
Even the sounds too, like even the what's it called, the wing sounds. They sound like helicopters and stuff. It's really intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Though I feel like the real villain is probably Princess Ada.
Bruh.
Worst character.
Bruh.
Do you
Bro,
think
she only likes him when he's like successful. In the beginning of the movie, she's like,
Fair.
it's really bad. Let's not get him. Like, goodbye. Like, let's get rid of him. In the end, he's like successful. He wins. He's like, and then she's like, you're amazing now. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, very opportunistic.
Yeah, you didn't answer. Can he carry his own movie?
Possible, because he's so like realistic in the sense of like how he portrays himself. Maybe.
But would anyone go watch that movie other than Ambrose?
No one will watch it. I mean, that's why they're removing "It's Good to Be a Bug," right?
It's tough to be a bug. Yeah, like
yeah. I remember
yeah, like A Bug's Life to me was always like one of the worst movies. Like I remember watching it as a kid and I was like, ugh.
That is the wrong opinion.
The only thing that I enjoyed about that movie was, you know, when they would drink the water and they would hold like
the
the little water
droplets?
droplets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked so appetizing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want water like that. Other than that, I had no interest in that movie.
I love
Not even the circus bugs. Some of them were so cool.
Yeah, those are funny.
The little roly polies.
Yeah.
No.
They were amazing.
Must be a guy thing. All right.
I mean, it's better than what's the name? I think it was DreamWorks' counterpart to it. That was intense. Ants.
And I honestly, I feel like I remember that movie a lot more because it was so intense. I was like, oh my gosh, that's scary.
The whole
watched
battle
it.
scene and everything. Oh my goodness, dude.
I don't think I ever watched it. Okay. Dora? Third?
Oh, last villain. Okay. I don't know. I think if I had to pick like another villain that I like, it would probably be Gaston. And
the muscles.
I mean, that's not why. But I think he's just like, he's not really like a menacing like villain to me. Like he's not as dark. And then he's very bumbling and just dumb. And like he does things and you're like, oh, like poor Belle has to deal with that. Like it's more of like an annoyance rather than
Was
like
it the feet or something.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, ugh, gross. But yeah, like I feel like he gets menacing towards the end when he's like after the beast. But throughout the beginning, you're just like, oh, he's just this like really obnoxious like guy who just thinks so highly of himself. He's so like egotistical, and that's
size of barge, right?
Yeah, that's it. And I think like he is. Yeah, like he's not like a scary villain. Like if you saw him, if you met him at a meet and greet, which he does have meet and greets, like you wouldn't be like scared of him. You would have probably, again, fun interactions with him like you would with like the stepsisters and stuff, where it's just like him like bragging and showing off like, oh yeah, did you see how thick my neck is? Like, look at how, like whatever. Like that is how those interactions would go. So I feel like I like him because he is, again, a more relatable villain. Yes, he does get like menacing towards the end, and that brings in some of that dark side that like someone like you, Ambrose, would like.
Boy, have you started me?
Yeah, Ambrose, the dark one. Yeah. Do I think he could carry his own movie? No, I don't think so. I think he's too like one note, where he's very like just self-centered and focused on like how amazing he is, that I don't think he could carry his own movie. It's not like a story arc of like, oh, this bad stuff happened to him and that's why he ended up this way. It's like, no, his story arc is probably that he was great and he was very like, he peaked and he was amazing, and then he, exactly like what happened in the movie, he just was rejected and he didn't know how to handle rejection.
He kind of falls off at the end.
Yeah, I mean, but he is
That was a reference to the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
What?
Because he falls off like at the very end and he does. Yeah. But I think like, see, like Gaston could be walking around in the underworld right now. We don't know. So
He dies?
yeah.
Yo, that's savage.
Gaston dies. Who else dies?
Why does everybody have to die
Ursula
in the
dies.
Disney movies? These are for
Maleficent
kids.
dies.
Wow.
Like some of these bad guys die. So that's why I'm saying they could be in the underworld. Like they could be
Crazy.
all in cahoots with Hades right now.
Wow. All right.
But anyways, so Gaston is represented in the parks. He has meet and greets.
Yep.
He
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, he's in Hollywood Studios in like the Beauty and the Beast show. So you get to like see him and hear him sing, and
Really good job there.
yeah.
Really good job there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he does a great job with like the mob scene, the like kill the beast.
Yeah.
See, catchy song as well.
Yeah.
He has Gaston's Tavern at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which
You can
has-
get the food. What's that?
They have like the iconic, like the massive
food, yeah.
cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
With like it almost has like a caramelly like sauce as well to it.
Okay.
And
Is
then
that
they
brown
just
stuff.
yeah, it's like a caramel sauce or like a brown sugar like sauce. And then they have also other foods that are like new foods. They're making it more foodie friendly, but you can get the LeFou's brew, like because LeFou drinks like beer in the movie. And so because they go to the like they have like the bar or whatever that they go to, like the pub, and then they do the whole song, the like no one spits like Gaston, like that whole song. So fun, so catchy. So they have it kind of set up to look like that, like the tavern, and it looks very similar like as it would in the movie. And then they have again the cinnamon roll. They have like a new like ham and cheese tart thing. They have a new creme brulee, croissant that we were like, oh yeah, we have to go try that creme brulee croissant. So they have some like fun.
That's
food
where that
as well.
is? Yo.
And it's right near where like the Enchanted Tales of Belle happens, and like so where you can go in and see like Belle's home, and then they have like the big, off in the distance, like the castle for Belle, but then it's really like you enter and it's like the restaurant, the Be Our Guest restaurant. So it's all in that same area, Magic Kingdom. So he actually has like quite a bit of representation in the parks.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. My last one. See, if we were doing other things than Disney, you know how many people we could go talk about? Do I hear a
You could do Star
Darth
Wars.
Vader?
Yeah, you
I
could
was
do Star
literally just about to say that. Do I hear like? But we're not doing that. I'm gonna be fair to the list. Jafar is a freaky one. Jafar's a freaky one from Aladdin, bro. Weird, like magical stuff, doing some weird, I don't know, shape shifting. I don't know what he does. Bro, it's just freaky. Like from his face looking like he's like, deceptive and cunning, to the things that he's doing, trapping people, sending people into this like hole to get something for himself, and who cares about other people's lives? Jafar don't care about anybody's life but himself. And then like pretending to be this person that he's not, to try and like, trick the princess to marry him, and like, so deceptive, so cunning, and then like going, now you're in prison to me, princess. Like it's in my opinion, like, bro, man savage. And I'm glad that Aladdin gets the last laugh by switching out the genie for Jafar, and he's now stuck in the limp. So I think I don't love him. He's great because he's so freaky. Can he carry his own movie? I will not put it past Disney to turn any villain into a great movie, because I can come up with a story for them right now if they want to pay me, Disney.
I think the second movie is pretty much about him. Like a lot of them are like.
There's a second movie.
Jafar's Return.
Bro, I didn't hear about it.
I haven't watched that one either.
Well,
it's scary, dude. It's way scarier than the first one. I remember watching it and be like,
wow.
because it's literally like a revenge tale. Like he's able to have revenge and everything and stuff.
The first one is scary enough. Like I remember watching that first movie with like, okay, so watched it as a kid and like I was scared, but like I wasn't terrified of him, especially because like again as a kid you miss a lot of what's happening. But I remember being scared of like watching that last scene with him when he becomes like the genie and he's like massive because he's so huge and he's so angry and he's all red, and watching that with like a little girl that I was babysitting at the time. Like I was like in my 20s and she was like this little 3-year-old, and she was like, her parents were like, she loves watching Aladdin. So we watched it and I was like, oh my gosh, she loves watching this. Like, this is so weird. Like, how is she not scared? I'm scared. I kept asking her, I'm like, honey, are you okay? And she's just like, yeah. And she's like watching
again.
I was like, oh, okay, that's good. I'm glad you're good. I'm a little scared, but cool. So I think he's scary, and he is represented in Phantasmic, and his scene in Phantasmic horrified me. Like him, like, because he becomes like the snake, right? So they have that where it becomes a snake, and it's this massive snake, and it's like coming at Mickey, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Mickey, get away! Like I was terrified.
Yeah.
I don't know how our kids sat through that either. Like they were like eyes wide open, like staring at like the show, and I was just like, oh my gosh, don't get scared, don't cry, please don't cry, because I was scared watching it.
Phantasmic is a great show.
Yeah, but
I haven't seen it, but I'll check it out next year, hopefully.
All right, so I guess the last thing that we're ending with is, which is the most evilest of all villains? Do you guys have one on your minds?
I have,
because I feel like I've given really bad villains. I can give you one that's like not a good villain if you want. That's like opposite. Like I can do that.
Okay.
I think mine, honestly, if I get mine out of the way, Jafar. I think he's like the evilest one, personally. Okay. Yeah.
I have two. I have two evil ones who I think are the most. I have lots of evil ones that I think are most evil. It's hard. Okay. I'm just gonna give you the names, and I'll tell you very quickly why. Mother Gothel.
Yeah.
Because she is so conniving and sneaky. The way that she made Rapunzel basically believe that she was her mother. Like technically, she was nice to her for like 18 years. Like yes, she trapped her, but she was like a good mom where she like took care of her and brought her things that she liked and gave her activities so that she would be okay in the tower for 18 years. So Mother Gothel, 100%. One of the most psycho villains that we could ever, like she's literally a sociopath. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just imagine her after leaving the thing. Oh my goodness. At the bar, just be like, I'm stuck in a house the whole time, afterwards. Like leaving. Well, she's good. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. So Mother Gothel, not really represented in the parks at all. But like, I think they could do a lot with her. I think the other one that's like really evil is the Evil Queen. She scared me so much as a child. Like the witch version of her, when she was like the old lady, like she used to terrify me. And so they have that version of her, like an animatronic on the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Do you enjoy that one? It's a quick turn one, right? That one.
It's like she's just kind of like knocking at the door and like peeking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the California one has the one where it's old school when she's like the what's the name, the queen, and then she turns around instantly. The animatronic turns into the evil witch.
Yeah. No, it's the
that one's scary.
It's not the same. That one, because that one used to be a scary ride, and then they made it less scary.
Okay.
But no, the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, she's just kind of there knocking. So there's a little bit of that. And they have like a meet and greet for her at a restaurant at Artist Point in Walt Disney World. So you can meet like Snow White, you meet the Queen, and you meet like a couple of the dwarfs. I think they rotate out the dwarfs. And it's similar where she's like oh, like peasants, like don't talk to me, and that's how she is. But people really love that meet and greet and like love, and apparently the restaurant is really great and the food is really great. It's like very underrated character dining. So her, and then the last one for me is Maleficent, because Maleficent, the dragon, is absolutely terrifying. Like when she turns, and also like cursing a baby, like what did the like. Poor baby. Who does that? Like, who doesn't like babies?
Lord Voldemort.
Yeah, right? I mean, I just feel like, yeah, it's very villainous of her. And she is like very dark and very twisted. And I did read a little bit about her backstory because I haven't watched the Maleficent movie, but like apparently she was in love with King Stefan, Aurora's father, who then betrayed her, and that's why she is mad, and that's why she curses Aurora. So there's a whole backstory. It's not just as like, oh yeah, I didn't get invited to the party, so I'm mad and I'm cursing you.
Gotcha.
So a little bit misunderstood, but they do have again, she plays a role in Phantasmic. Okay. So definitely there, and then they have the dragon in one of the parades.
In the parade, yeah.
Which is really cool.
It's really hot when it walks by you, actually.
Yeah, it breathes fire. Yeah,
Actual
exactly.
Fire. Yeah. It's like a flamethrower, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
For you?
I think, okay, I'll give you one of the most evil villains, and then I'll give you one of the worst villain. Just like literally.
What do you mean the worst villain?
Like not a good villain, okay? Like this, the weakest or softest villain. Okay, I'll give you that one.
Okay.
Number one, I think for me, one of the worst villains is Cruella de Vil.
Okay.
Her whole drive is that she wants to make a wonderful designer Dalmatians jacket. Okay.
Yeah.
And basically, the majority of those, the 101 Dalmatians. I don't know how many they have. Pongo and Petunia. I don't remember how many they have in their litter, but like literally all the other Dalmatians are there to be grown and skinned and turned into like I think that's so evil, and the fact that in the end she goes mad crazy with her hair and the eyes, and like I think she's just simply her especially all the dog lovers out there, simply her drive. I think that makes it really evil. Yeah,
call PETA. Hey, PETA, come get Cruella.
Exactly. And now I think the weakest villain, or I'll give it the softest villain, whatever, would be King Magnifico.
Who's that?
He's from Wish.
Oh, that guy. Yes, okay.
I think the reason why he's not a good villain is just the fact that he is, technically speaking, he's not really a villain. He's in the movie, the narrative of the movie forces him to be a villain. He's some guy who like went through all the struggles on using his magic and everything to build this amazing kingdom, and he's the king, right? And the whole premise is, how does he get to decide who gets to get their wish? Because he's the king and he made everything and keeps everyone safe. So and he's not like he's keeping them and not granting them, right? But the idea that, and then it moves on forward, that like, then he's like, it's just such a quick shift of like character, like, I don't know, derailment or destruction of who he is, this great king. Like, because prior to that moment he looks amazing, then he gets evil, and then somehow, even though he's the most powerful sorcerer in all the land, he needs to rely on an evil book, right? And then once he gets a book, then he gets power hungry by the wishes. I think it's just not a well done character. The movie itself, maybe hot take, maybe common opinion, not a good movie.
Okay? No, not a good movie. I agree.
And so like I think it's just so forced to him to be a villain where he's actually not a villain. And I think the real villain is I forgot her name, the main character, I think.
Asha?
A little bit.
She's not a villain. She's just a silly girl.
She joins in order she wants to be apprentice for the sole purpose of getting her grandpa's wish.
That's not the sole purpose. No, it's not the sole purpose.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, it's not the sole purpose.
She gets upset when she finds out that his wish will never be granted, but her purpose to begin with was just, I just love this and I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, that's okay. I can give you that one. Yeah. No, I think you're right on that. It's just that I feel like he's not that much of a villain. He gets forced to be a villain because of the story. There's no reason for him to really like. He has, I don't know, and then the fact that he's the only one that like is evil in the whole show. And then his wife is like, I never knew, and like, because I expected a twist with the wife being like, I'm evil too, right?
No.
But no, and then he ends up being, and the only reason he lost is because he wins everything, because the wish in his wand went like, woo, right? And I don't know. I just feel like that's not a good character. It's not a good movie. His song was okay. Yeah, I think that's one of the worst.
His song was one of the better ones of the movie. So still, the villain gets the better song.
That's true. Yeah, no, I think that. Yeah, so that's for me.
That movie like had potential. Yeah, with all of the ads I saw for it, with the star. That's
star
made.
Is cute.
That's made for kids. Like they really did miss something there. It's one of those movies that I think that if they did a second one and they gave it to other directors, that the second one could be better than the first.
There was a lot of saying that apparently it's supposed to be, the star was supposed to be like a little boy versus like there was a lot of like stuff originally in the concept.
But I don't know if you guys have seen all this, but I do read and watch a lot of these like like conspiracy theories about like how the Disney movies are kind of intertwined and stuff. And so there's like a theory that this is like this movie is like a really like set way back like in the day, and that it's actually before like Cinderella and Snow White and all these other movies. He becomes the mirror. That like, because he gets trapped in the mirror, that he's actually like the magic mirror from Snow White, and that the wand is like
fairy godmother.
Like it's the fairy. Blue, I think it's the fairy godmother.
The fruit or the blue.
Well, there's
fairy godmother.
Yeah, the fairy godmothers. Well, there's like speculation that the blue fairy and fairy godmother could be also like intertwined in some way, because she's also a blue fairy, right? So very cool like ways that like they set it up. I think that they could have done a lot more to make that movie good. And you're right, Magnifico, he was scary by the end. Like I definitely did not like him, and I was like horrified by him, but it was something that came later. It wasn't like he wasn't actually like that. They made him into a villain.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Could be better. I think it didn't have, I don't know why we're like critiquing the movie now, but it didn't have really an identity. I think it had a lot of like shout outs to a lot of different movies, but
and yet somehow I got all the publicity, and the movie like Encanto didn't even hear about it and knocked everybody's socks off.
Encanto sleeper hit.
Viv cries in that movie every single time.
Yeah, me too.
It's good. And the music,
yeah, every song in that movie is catchy.
Every song.
But see, that movie didn't need a villain. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Some movies don't need a villain. They need other types of adversity and tension and
technically
like,
the grandma was the villain,
but she wasn't really a villain.
It wasn't a villain character. It's more relationship tension. Like
she's an anti-hero.
Not even anti-hero.
That's a new word for Dora that you can use a lot. They're not villains, anti-heroes. I hear you.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you like what you heard, follow, subscribe, listen to a podcast wherever you can find podcasts. And we'll be back for another one. Jump in the comments, write down, whether it's your thoughts or questions, who your favorite villain is going to be with future movies that are coming out. And we'll be back for another episode. Have a great week.
Bye.